Today, we see a rise in ICOs, those initial coin offerings that are doing very well for some and for others not as well. So we want to find out, what's the secret sauce? What kind of tips do we need to know to make sure they're successful and they work well? And to find out about that, I've asked my friend Dennis Lewis to join us. He's a marketing officer, chief marketing officer, actually, of a recent ICO that did very well. He helps a lot of people with marketing at his company, Greenlight Digital. And he joins us right now from his offices in Orlando. Thanks for being with us today, Dennis.
Hey, Terry, great to be here. Nice to talk to you again. I'm looking forward to talking about ICOs and having a good time with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the ICOs are really taking off. We see them all over the place, but there's certain principles that we have found that work. And matter of fact, I think you've put together some ideas in a report that you talked about and some memos, some of the work that you send out about those. So as we look at a few ideas, we could look at maybe 3 or 4 really good ideas that make ICOs successful. What do we need to be aware of?
Yeah, Terry, one of the things that I've been thinking a lot about is that lately people really, every ICO just works. They just throw out a token and it makes a gazillion dollars, right? But that's not always going to be the case.
Exactly.
And this industry is notoriously techy and not really very marketing savvy, at least in a lot of cases. And I really think that's something that needs to change. And I think that's why what we're talking about today is so interesting, because as we grow and as we open the doors beyond the crypto world, the messages, the stories we tell are going to just be more and more important in order to have a successful ICO and to make money and to finance projects and to, really reach our goals.
Exactly. That's something that you have talked about before. Matter of fact, you and I did a video recently about stories. So if you don't mind, I'm going to pause you there for a moment. I'd like you to really go in depth on that, on stories, and why do we need stories and the power of them from a marketing point of view.
Sure. Well, stories are, some people talk about the oldest profession in the world. And they get it wrong. That's actually the second oldest, I think. The first oldest profession in the world is being a storyteller. That is something our ancestors have been doing, since, long before there was ever a written piece of paper. We sat around campfires at the night and listened to stories. And that means that stories are ingrained in who we are. It's a part of what it means to be human. And that's the most powerful way to get a message across. I could sit here and we can theorize all day long about marketing and persuasion and all sorts of fancy tactics and stuff that can be done. But really just telling a story and drawing your audience into something that's, happened before and making them feel like they're part of something is the most powerful way to get your message across.
Yeah, there's a lot of evidence backing you up when you say on that. Can you think of an example of how let's say we're launching the Dennis and Terry coin, just hypothetically here. We say we have the Dennis and Terry coin. How would you tell a story around that? What would we need to put in there if we were launching this hypothetical coin?
So it comes back to what is the why? Okay, why are Terry and Dennis launching this coin? So let's imagine. Let's just kind of make something up. Imagine that our goal here is to help finance the marketing for ICO projects. Well, our story might be that too many really promising ICOs never get off the ground because they don't have the funds to do marketing. And, we could talk about Jim, who, started a really interesting project not long ago, and he had a really cool technical idea, and he really had something that could change the world, and it flopped. And the reason Jim's product flopped wasn't because he didn't have the idea, wasn't because he didn't have the technical expertise. It's because nobody understood what he was doing. And that's why Terry and Dennis are going to launch the Terry and Dennis tokens, because we want to help people like Jim who really want to, change the world by launching their tokens and they just don't have the resources, the marketing resources to get out there and do it.
Yeah, I like the way you say that. There's a story that we can relate to, and we see a why, a strong why. And that relates also to something else that you've talked about in the work that you sent out, is you say you shouldn't start with all the technology. And I have to admit, as a geek that I am, I like to say, oh, but it's got this woolly whoppers and these biggie woogies and this here and all these terms that people are going, huh? It seems like that is a good way to start sometimes, but you say, there's another place where we should start. And where is that, Dennis?
It always starts with the problem. It starts with the pain. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That is what you're trying to fix. Okay. And if you're not helping people, if you're not taking pain away from even if it's some very remote group of 5 people hidden off in, the jungles of Brazil somewhere, if you're not solving a problem, then there's no reason to buy your tokens. There's no reason that people should take their hard-earned money. They have to stick their hands in the pocket and pull it out and give it to you. So you always want to start with where it hurts. Okay. And because that makes it relevant. It makes it interesting to your audience. So many times I see, this isn't just with ICOs. I see this with my clients every day. They think marketing is talking about them. And they start off and they say, this is what I do, and this is why I'm good, and this is my experience, and this is my pricing, and and people ignore them because it has nothing to do with you. It has to be about your audience.
I like the way you say that. It's not about you, it's about the audience. And that ties back into solving that pain. We see the problem that's there. Notice that. And you want to tell the story in doing that and putting those together. And then one other thing you talk about, I think is really important, is we need to kind of expand out of the crypto world and talking about all the technology. Tell us a little bit about that and how that relates to launching a successful ICO.
So, whenever I started on and I helped out with the last ICO that I worked on, that was, we reached our fundamental goals. I just kind of came into this community, and I started realizing that the crypto community, the crypto world it's a kind of a special place. There's it's got its own peculiarities and it's got its own quirks. Let's call them quirks. And that's cool right now, but it isn't the future. If we want, ICOs, we want tokens, we want cryptocurrencies to expand out and to reach a broader mainstream audience, we have to take that into account in our marketing. And that means you have to build the ICO from the very beginning, thinking about that. You can go after, whoever it is that has, an extra Bitcoin in their back pocket. That's a great audience, and it does make it easy. They have it. Maybe that's an easier sell, but that's a short-term goal. If we want to actually build successful ICOs, we have to broaden our horizons, and that means we have to tell stories that make sense to people that don't understand Bitcoin, that don't understand Ethereum, that don't understand, the wallets and encrypting and all of that, which is, that isn't what most ICOs have been doing recently. But as we move forward and as there's more of these, either we're fishing in a tiny little puddle or we start fishing in a big ocean. And the rewards are always going to be bigger if we're fishing in a big ocean.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think with those ideas in mind, it really helps. Now, one other thing that you have put together, I particularly liked. And matter of fact, we're using a technology here that we can share screen. I want to share my screen with those that are watching and show what you have put together and have you explain a little bit about this, what that is. And as I clean up the screen here a little bit, it's the Ultimate ICO Planning Guide, which is a checklist of putting in your general planning, your entity name, etc. Tell us a little bit about this and what you have and how people can get hold of it.
Right. Well, Terry, what I noticed is that, there's so many moving pieces to doing an ICO. There's a lot of different things that you have to talk about. You have to organize. And if you don't actually get all those pieces in place, you're limiting your results. And so what we did was we put together a planning guide. It doesn't have the answers. It doesn't have the, it's the questions that you need to go through. And, some of them are big questions like, what's your what entity are you going to use? Who's raising this money? Or, what's the intrinsic value of your token? And what's the speculative value? Because, you have to have both. Your token has to be worth something to the person who buys it, but he also has to have a reason, an argument that tells him it's going to increase in value. So, and from there all the way to tracking your sales and building your audience and your email list and your social media, there's just so many things you have to take into account that I thought having a planning guide that just lists the questions and gives you a structure is a pretty useful thing for a lot of people. And
so really good idea. So tell us, how can they download that, get used to that so they'll have the right questions, they get on the right focus, and then we're not going to let you get away without telling them how we can get in touch with you and how they can get more information in a practical way for their own ICO.
So what we've done, we've set up a site called ICOsuccess.com. And it's just getting off the ground, but that's where we've set up a lot of services that are available for people interested in, running an ICO or improving it. And on the blog that we have, which is blog.icosuccess.com, you can download this free planning guide just by signing up and giving us your name and your email. Whenever we post this video, we'll put a link there so that it makes it easy to get. And yeah, I'd love to welcome anybody who's watching to download the guide, give me some feedback, tell me what I forgot, tell me what our team needs to add in there. We'll get a new version out too. So it's a work in progress, but I really think that there's a promising future for this whole industry if we start really honing our message and getting it out there in the right way.
Absolutely. Well, Dennis, you've done a great job with that. And for those of you watching, think about this. Here are some great ideas of what you can do. You start with your stories that you have. Find the problem that's out there, the pain that people are experiencing. Make sure you're addressing not so much the technical features, but the real why and the benefits that they have. And do that planning that goes outside of just the crypto world. Then you're going to do well. And that guide, as I've looked at it, really is nice. It's always good to have someone really, really smart sitting there saying, yeah, but what about this? And what about that? Kind of like your doctor will say, okay, we're going to check certain areas that we know are vital, and they'll ask questions. Then your doctor knows better what to do. And though this is kind of having that doctor there, you start with that and then get in touch with Dennis. Dennis and his team are very good helping people in marketing at greenlight.digital. They've done this very well, and you want to go over there and take a look at what they have to help us out with. Dennis, any final words before we let you run away today and get back helping more of your customers and your clients that you're working with?
No, Terry, I think that was really pretty good. I think that we could continue doing these collaborations. Maybe in the next couple of weeks we can do another one or two, and one thing that I know we talked about doing is maybe we can look for some upcoming ICOs and roll up our sleeves and critique a bit what we're seeing and how we could improve it. That might give some free tips like that to whoever's out there listening. And
I like it. I think that's a good idea. Sleeves are already rolled up here for me, so we're ready to go and get in there and help. And for those of you that are looking at it, you're in the ICO world. That initial coin offering, very important that you come out of the box really looking good. You're doing the right things. Having the right information is what we're all about here to help you with that. So I'm Terry Brock for Dennis Lewis, myself. Thank you for joining us today, and we will look forward to hearing from you.
Thanks a lot, Terry. It's been a lot of fun.